Okay. So once again, a pleasant morning to everyone, and I'd like to welcome you all to our session for today. Our topic for today is about the language of research, advocacy, and campaign. Now, before we formally begin our class, here are a few reminders. First is to turn on your cameras. I'm sorry. Turn on your cameras. And sorry, I meant microphone. Okay. Please turn off your microphones when you're uh, not given the floor as to avoid inconveniencing others in the session. Second is to always turn on your cameras. That's to make sure that you are really participating. Third is to use the raise hand button if you have a question, you have an interjection, or want to you want to participate in the class. And last but never the least, the fourth reminder is to always be courteous, not only towards me, but also towards your other classmates and to Ma'am Sam and to Ma'am Kalamba. Are we clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to ask you to prepare the following, please. First is a pen and paper. Then second is a copy of your module rather, I'm sorry, so that you can catch up, see for yourself what part of the module we're discussing. And of course, third, please prepare your attention for our lesson. At the end of this lesson, you as learners are expected to be able to do the following. First is to recall the basic definition of a research campaign and advocacy. Second is to express the importance of researches, campaigns, and advocacies in the academe or in the academic setting, or in school, in simpler terms. And third, you are to create a basic proposal or plan on how to write a good research, advocacy, or campaign. So it's either of the three, so you don't need to be worried about doing all three, okay? I hope you're prepared with your pen and papers because we will be having some activities to start the class, okay? Our first activity for today is scrambled words, please. So I know many of you are familiar with this kind of activity. So the keywords are scrambled, and beside it are hints that would help you decipher or unscramble the words. So on a piece of paper, kindly unscramble the words. These are 9 words all in all. It's 9:14 here on my time. I'll give you 5 minutes. So by 9:19, I'll be asking you to unscramble the words. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So your time starts now. Okay, it's 9:19 already. Is everybody done, or are there still some more answering? Or are there still some of you answering? Please type in the chat if you're done, so that I know more or less how many are still answering, please. If you're done, just type the word done in the chat box. Okay, thank you. Are there more to follow? What about the others? Are you still answering? Don't worry if you're not yet done really, because actually this is a formative assessment, so it won't be recorded. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, what about the others? We have five students here who are done already. What about the others? Okay, thank you. All right, it's 9:21. So I think it's safe that we start unscrambling these words. Okay. Who would like to volunteer to unscramble the first word? Anyone would like to raise a hand? Okay, yes. Yes. Mordecai. Mr. Mordecai.
Research, sir.
Very good. The first word is research. So to look for it again, research. So it's simple as that. The second word, who would like to volunteer to unscramble? Yes, Miss Bantilan.
Bias, sir.
Very good. The second word is bias. Thank you. What about the third word? Yes, Miss Decades.
Validity, sir.
Very good. Third word is validity. Thank you. What about the fourth word? Okay. Here. Mr. Wong, kindly.
Credibility, sir.
Very good. Credibility. What about the fifth word? Yes. Yes, Miss Sanyel. Yes, it's exaggeration. The fifth word is exaggeration. So you're overreacting. That's exaggeration. What about the sixth word? Yes, Miss Garcia.
Omission, sir.
Very good. Omission. So when you omit something or when you commit omission, you exclude something. What about the next word? Who are these? Okay, let's go back again to Miss Sanyel. What is the word? Sanyel? Okay, it's reliability, consistency. You can always rely on it. What about the eighth word? Oh, okay. What about Miss Margot?
Advocacy, sir.
Very good. That's advocacy. And last but never the least, the ninth word, we have Miss Berdin.
Campaign, sir.
Very good. Campaign. So all of these words that you have unscrambled, we will be discussing in depth later. So if you're excited, we will get there in a short while. Now that we're done with the scrambled words, again, I would like to say congratulations to everyone for doing a very good job in unscrambling the words. Next, we have another activity here. We have three pictures here. They all possess different subjects or ideas. Now, what do you think is the trait or idea that these three pictures have in common? What do you think is the common concept that these three pictures share? Would anyone like to volunteer or to share his or her thoughts and ideas? Okay, so here in the first picture, we have a woman studying something. Then on this other side, we have a picture of a man where people are calling to vote for him. And the third picture here in the bottom or in the middle is someone speaking up for something. Yeah, among these three pictures, what do you think is the common idea? Okay, yes, Miss Berdin, what are your thoughts
Ano,
about the
sir?
three pictures?
To have knowledge and
Mhm.
begin to understand the complexities of various issues.
Okay, very good. That's a nice answer. So it's something about in the search of knowledge and understanding different issues in society. Very good, Miss Berdin. What about the others? Do others have maybe similar thoughts or different thoughts? Please feel free to give your insights about these pictures. Okay, no one will volunteer. I'll try calling some names. Okay. Uh, is Mr. Antipuesto here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For you, what are your opinions or thoughts about these three pictures? What do you think is the common thing that they share with each other? Don't worry. There's nothing really right or wrong here because I'm trying to get your ideas or perceptions.
Wait lang, sir.
Okay.
Um,
Yes, Mr. Antipuesto?
ano, sir, finding someone who is reliable, sir. Murag,
Okay, that can be something. So finding someone or something that can be reliable. Very good. Thank you for that, Mr. Antipuesto. And what about Miss Montes? Is Miss Montes here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you think? What are your insights about the question, or what do you think are your ideas about the three pictures? What do you think do they share in common?
I think, sir, they are researching for the reliable person or information.
Okay, very good. That's a good answer. Also, researching for the reliable person or the reliable uh, answer or knowledge about something. Okay, all your ideas, your opinions are correct. But I'd like to share this with you that one thing also that these three pictures share in common is that they are trying to convince you to believe in something or to side with something. So it's all about convincing other people, okay? But nevertheless, all your ideas and opinions were correct. Very, very good to the three of you. Next, we have some questions here that we need to process. Okay. So what do you think were the subjects of the three pictures? Or what do you think were the topics of the three pictures, the three different pictures? Would anyone like to volunteer to answer? Okay, let's go back to the three pictures if you're having a hard time. Okay, what do you think? What do you think is the subject of this picture, and this picture? Would anyone like to volunteer? Going once, going twice. Hearing none, let's have Miss Alisa Joy. Is Miss Alisa here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you think are the three subjects of the three pictures? They're different from each other.
Wait lang, sir. Hmm, wala ko ba na, sir?
Okay. Sige, sige. Okay. It's all right. What about the others? Do you have any idea about what is the topic or concept of these three pictures? Okay, like what is this? What is the first picture showing? It's related to our lesson. Ah, yes, Miss Garcia. Well, what are your thoughts? Oh, your thoughts.
Research, advocacy, and campaign, sir.
Okay, very good. So those uh those were the three subjects of the three pictures. The first one is research. The second one here in the middle is the advocacy, and the third one here in the end is the is a campaign. Very good, Miss Garcia. Okay, what about the next question? What importance do these three subjects play in our society? Oh, why is it important? Why would anyone like to answer? None. Let's have Miss Cordero.
Yes, sir.
Wait, I'm losing my connection. Yeah, I'm sorry for the internet connectivity problem. Sorry. Okay. Is my screen clear, or do all of you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, going back to the question, I'm sorry, Miss Cordero. Okay, what importance do these three subjects play in our society? What is the importance of these three three activities or three subjects in the society that we move and live in?
Uh, um, they're helping the society.
Okay, they're happening in the society in what way? What do you think? In what way
Uh,
do you think?
by guiding them or by guiding them, sir.
Okay, so they're guiding them about these three subjects guide us in our day-to-day life, how we can improve our lives, how we can help others improve their lives as well. Okay, thank you for that, Miss Cordero. What about this third question? Does it matter to you as a student, or do these three subjects matter to you to a student as a student? Why or why not? Volunteers? Okay, there are none. May I call on Mr. Wong? Is he here? Mr. Wong? Okay. So for you as a student, do these three matter to you? Uh,
Yes,
okay. Why does it matter to you?
because it helps us to understand social issue in our
Okay, very
society.
good. Thank you for that. And last question, would life be any better with or without these three? Why? So would like to volunteer. Do you think life would be better with these three, or would life be better without these three? Okay. Sige, let me call on Miss Decades.
um, life would be better if we have these trees, sir, because it helps in building the foundation for our successful society.
Okay, very good. It serves as a foundation for a successful society. Wow, that was deep. Thank you very much, Miss Decades. Okay, now let us move on to the lesson proper. So we'll be focusing on research, advocacy, and campaign. Now, first we will touch on research. Now, what is a research? Now, according to Kuthari, a research is a pursuit of trust, of course, assisted by study, observation, comparison, and experiment. And it is the search for knowledge through objective and systematic method. Please take note, objective and systematic method. What do we mean by objective and systematic method? When we do research, we have to be objective. We have to be real. We cannot have room for subjectivity, for too much subjectivity. I mean, it's impossible to remove subjectivity from research, but as much as possible, we try to keep it to a minimum, or we try to put very little subjectivity in our research. So again, it is a pursuit of knowledge. You're looking for knowledge through objective means and of course systematic, or in the vernacular hanai. It has to be properly arranged. Now, according to Western Sydney University in the year 2020, research is the search for new knowledge with the use of existing knowledge. So why are we searching for new knowledge? Because every day the world changes. And with these changes, there's always something new. So we have to learn something new also as well. So why aren't we researching things that are already known? Because there's no point anymore. It has already been searched by other people. They have already been explained. So there's no need anymore to dwell on old things. So that is why we use existing knowledge to find new knowledge. Understood? Is it clear for everyone? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So,
Yes,
so
sir.
again, when doing research, you have to be objective, you have to be systematic, and always search for something new. Don't tell us what we already know, as they would say. Okay? Now, under research, we have certain characteristics. The first one is bias. Okay, what do we mean by bias? This is not the bias that we commonly know in K-pop, okay? In the context of research, bias is when an idea or perspective isn't taken into account. So take, for example, there's a certain issue. For example, what's this thing? Death penalty. Talk about death penalty. In your research, if for example in your research, the only things that you talk about are the negative sides of death penalty, the positive sides. But you don't include the opposite. So that is bias. You are you are not you are not considering another perspective because for you think that death penalty is wrong or death penalty is right. So any opposing idea you will not include into your research. Second is when you're prejudiced against or for something. So similar to what I said a while ago, if you're a diehard fan of a certain side in an issue, so that is bias. So if you're for death penalty or if you're for same-sex marriage, ganyan, that's your bias. But it's not wrong. Bias entirely is not wrong, okay? So it's just when you're prejudiced against or for something. Third is when you change or bend the truth to suit your needs. So take for example, you come across a study that says only few students are in favor of extracurricular activities. So when you change or bend the truth in that study, you say that many students, according to this study, are in favor of extracurricular activities. So like that, that's bias when you're changing the truth to suit what you want. Okay? And the fourth definition is when you ask those who you know will say what you want to hear. Okay, take for example, you're the SSG president, then you want to have a graduation ball. Then, of course, you have to ask all fourth year students or all grade 12 students. But when you ask the students, you will ask those who are your close friends, who are your beshi wops in the other sections, because you know they'll side with you. You won't ask others who you know will be against the graduation ball. So that's bias. You're being unfair in the negative side of bias. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now we have different kinds of biases in research. The first is intentional bias. Now, what do we mean by intentional bias? It is when you're deliberately excluding or changing data or literature. So, as I said in research, you have to take into account all sides. So, take for example, if you're researching about death penalty, even though you're against death penalty, you have to include in your research ideas or opinions that are for death penalty. Now, when you have intentional bias, you you know that you are not including those who are for death penalty. So in Visayan, it's tinuyan ba? You are really doing it on purpose. Okay. The second form of bias is exaggeration. So when you exaggerate things, you are blowing things out of proportion. Now, how do you do that? Okay, take for example, a study says only 50% of Filipinos are in favor of this issue. So when you exaggerate things, you say uh, almost all Filipinos are in favor of this issue. So how can you say that almost all Filipinos are in favor of this issue when it's only 50%? Uh, it's like only half of the Philippine population. So that's exaggeration. So it's either you go beyond the reality or you go below the reality. So that is another form of bias. Third is omission. Okay, omission is different from intentional bias. Why? Because sometimes your research advisor can tell you not to include certain studies of a certain time period. That is still omission, that is still bias. But this one is unintentional. So take for example, in our thesis, our research advisor would tell us uh, include studies that are only within 10 years. So studies beyond 10 years will not be included. So that's still omission, but it's unintentional. Okay. And the fourth one is biased sample. Biased sample is what I mentioned a while ago. It's surveying or asking people you know who will side with you. So you will ask your friends, uh, friends in your section, friends in your other sections, those you know who will side with you. So that's bias sample. Understood?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I clear? Okay. So here are other characteristics of research. First, we have reliability. So when we say reliability, it's consistent results. So if my research produces these kinds of results, if you replicate my research or if you do my research as well, it should also produce the same results. It's consistent. It doesn't change. Next is validity. So when you say validity, it means that your tools or your methods are appropriate or aligned. So take for example, excuse me. Okay, your tools or your methods are appropriate. So if you're going to ask teachers, if you're going to survey teachers, don't use a questionnaire for students. Or if you're asking students, don't use a questionnaire or don't use a survey. That is for teachers. So it's simply like that. That's validity. Then third is credibility. So when you talk about credibility, it means your results are believable. It's not too good to be true. So again, reliability is consistency, validity is appropriateness or alignment of your tools and methods, and credibility is if your results are believable. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Now we are done with research. We will now move on to advocacy. Now, an advocacy is a carefully considered planned process. Please take note, carefully considered and planned process to influence multiple stakeholders to achieve specified outcomes. Now, when you do an advocacy, you cannot just do it on your whim. Like you just think of something like, okay, let's do this, like do that. You have to plan it out because you are trying to convince different people to help you achieve a certain something. Also, an advocacy is representing the needs or the interests of those who are unable to speak for themselves. It's giving a voice to people who cannot speak or things who cannot speak. In fact, according to Advocacy Focus, an advocacy can be for it can be for a person, an animal, or a place. Okay, it doesn't have to be necessarily a person because animals and places are also things that cannot voice out their opinions. So it's giving a voice to these things that cannot speak for themselves. Okay? So that's advocacy in a nutshell. Now we have different examples of advocacies. If you're familiar with this, these are the Sustainable Development Goals or SDG. This advocacy was created by the United Nations. So we have here no poverty, no hunger, good health, quality education, and so on and so forth. Another is this. This is for the LGBT community. This advocacy is to end rainbow violence in Canada. because in Canada, there's still the existence of homophobia or violence against members of the LGBTQ plus community. Then here is another advocacy. This is about mental health. This was held on World Mental Health Day. So if you notice the examples given, these are always about disadvantaged people or disadvantaged members of our society. So these are advocacies. These are well planned, well crafted, and of course, you are trying to convince authorities or institutions to support your cause. So that's all for advocacy, okay? Last but never the least is a campaign. Now, a campaign is a planned project over a given period of time. So you need a long time. You cannot just achieve it within a day. A campaign is in a given period of time to achieve specific advocacy goals. So a campaign is simply uh, go upgrading your advocacy. You are putting it one step further. Some campaigns can use an insider approach. So what we talk about insider approach, what do we mean by insider approach? It means you only talk to specific people. But there's also another form of campaign which is called public campaigning, where you talk to the general public. Okay, so the difference between insider approach and public campaigning is that insider approach is like you can only talk to the city mayor or the barangay officials. It's insider because it's only the few of you. But public campaigning is making everyone knowledgeable about your campaign. Okay, and we have here certain examples of campaigns. All of you are familiar with the campaign, the election campaign of our president, Rodrigo Duterte. We have here a campaign against cyberbullying. This is in the United States. And another one is the campaign to get vaccinated. This is from the Department of Health. So all of these are in a specific time period. These are well planned and these come from certain advocacies as well. So these are examples of campaigns. Now, in a nutshell, to wrap everything up, this is the relationship of the three. Okay, a research can help make an advocacy. An advocacy can help make a campaign, and a campaign can help make more researches. Okay, is this clear for all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
sir.
So just think of it that way. The three are interconnected. Research makes an advocacy, advocacy makes a campaign, and campaign can make more research. Okay. So that would be all for our lesson for today. Now let's move on to an activity, okay? Another activity. This is entitled If I Do. Okay. Now here are the directions. Complete the phrase if I do with only one of these three choices. You can choose research, campaign, or advocacy. Then you will follow it with the phrase I will ... until you finish your personal plan. So here's an example. If I do a research, so the example choose a research, I will focus on the effects of social media to teenagers and so on and so forth. Okay, can you do that? Can you do that now? I will give you 5 minutes, just a short draft lang on your plan. So again, you can choose if it's a research, a campaign, or an advocacy. Okay, the time here is 9:53. In 5 minutes. I will be asking for your answers at 9:58. Okay, it's 9:58. So I presume that you're all done. Okay, let me hear some outputs. Okay. May I have Miss Momokod to share her output on this activity, please?
Uh, if I do create an advocacy, I will help those people who have suffered with mental illness due to their lack of support system or not having enough courage to open up to others.
Okay, wow, that's a nice advocacy. Thank you for that, Miss Momokod. And it's also a very timely advocacy and especially in our current setup. So very good, Ms. Momokod. Thank you for your answer. Let us have Miss Saniel.
Yes, sir. Mine po is, if I create an advocacy, I will share the importance of strengthening family values since it is one of the very timely issue, especially here in the Philippines po.
Okay, very good. Family issues, family values. Wow, that's also a deep answer. Thank you for that, Miss Saniel. Very good. What about Miss Garcia?
If I do an advocacy, I will mainly focus on how parents should try to listen to what their children thinks. Somehow the root problem for rebel is because children thinks that no one listens to their thoughts as to situational problems like misunderstandings, and it results to rebellion.
Okay, wow, very good. Thank you for that, Miss Garcia. Actually, there is a really a good point to your advocacy now because uh, uh, we can't deny that some children are against their parents because their parents don't hear them out and things like that. That is a good advocacy, Miss Garcia. Thank you very much for that. And what about Mr. Wong, George Wong? Were you able to create, Mr. Wong?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
If I do an advocacy, I will focus on the way and effective learning online because many students struggling on studying online because of the current situation that we face.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you for that, Mr. Wong. That's also a good advocacy because many of our students right now have a hard time accessing online classes. So that would be a very good advocacy that could be maybe furthered into a campaign. Okay, well, all in all, very good. Thank you very much for your responses, students. For the rest, please submit it along with your module to Ma'am Maisel so that we can check it also, okay? But I'm sure all of you did very good advocacies, campaigns, or research plans. Okay, moving on, let us now have the evaluation, okay? So again, please get your pen and papers. I'll give you 5 minutes for this slide and we'll just go through the other questions, okay? This will be 10 items all in all. So your 5 minutes starts now. We'll end the slide at 10:07. All right, it's 10:07. Is everybody done? Is everybody done already with test one? We'll be moving on to test two.
Done na, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we have test two, which are multiple choice questions. Okay, for number 6, this bias happens when there is information that is not included in the actual data. Again, this bias happens when there is information that is not included in the actual data. A, omission, B, intentional, C, exaggeration, D, biased sample. Again, A, omission, B, intentional, C, exaggeration, D, biased sample. Okay, moving on to the next question. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to inform you. I will read the question only twice, okay? Then we'll move on to the next question. Okay. Number 7. Medical practitioners are aiming to conduct a study on the psychological effects of COVID-19 to the people of Davao City. They intend to have the survey once a week for a month to test if there is stability in the response of the people. Which aspect in research is being emphasized in this situation? A, bias, B, validity, C, reliability, D, credibility. Again, number 7. Medical practitioners are aiming to conduct a study on the psychological effects of COVID-19 to the people of Davao City. They intend to have the survey once a week for a month to test if there is stability in the response of the people. Which aspect in research is being emphasized in the situation? Is it A, bias, B, validity, C, reliability, or D, credibility? Five. Okay, let's move on to question number 8. Which of the following statements is true about campaign? Is it A, without advocacy, campaigning is still possible? B, campaigning is exclusively engaging with one person? C, the process of campaigning can be done through engagement with the public and directly with decision makers? Or is it letter D, campaigning is the process of representing the needs and interests of disadvantaged and marginalized groups of people rather. Supposed to be plural. Groups of people. Again, number 8, which of the following statements is true about campaign? A, without advocacy, campaigning is still possible. B, campaigning is exclusively engaging with one person. C, the process of campaigning can be done through engagement with the public and directly with decision makers. Or is it letter D, campaigning is the process of representing the needs and interests of disadvantaged and marginalized groups of people? Okay, number 9. Let's move on to number 9. Move on. Number 9. A group of researchers used a set of questions which do not apply to the respondents at all. Which element of research is violated? A, bias, B, validity, C, credibility, or D, reliability? Again, number 9, a group of researchers used a set of questions which do not apply to the respondents at all. Which element of research is violated? Is it A, bias, B, validity, C, credibility, or D, reliability? Okay, moving on to the last question, number 10. Which among the statements is correct? A, an advocacy is pushed for personal gain. B, an advocacy does not need any external help. C, campaigning should be done first before coming up with an advocacy. Or is it letter D, campaigning is most likely going to be successful when fueled with an advocacy? Again, for number 10, the last question, which among the statements is correct? Is it A, an advocacy is pushed for personal gain? B, an advocacy does not need any external help? C, campaigning should be done first before coming up with an advocacy? Or is it letter D, campaigning is most likely going to be successful when fueled with an advocacy? All right, was everyone able to answer all the questions, or do I need to go back to a certain number? Were all of you able to answer all the questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay, very good. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's now move on to the answers. Favorite part. Okay. So number one for fill in the blanks is trust. Number two is observation. Number three is experiment. Number four is objective. And number five is existing. Okay. And for number six, the multiple choice questions. Number six is letter A. The correct answer is letter A. Number seven is letter C. Number eight is letter C. Number nine is letter B. And number 10 is letter D. Okay, please be honest and truthful with your answers. And if you're done checking your papers, please type your surname and scores in the session chat. So this is an example. If your surname is Reyes, just type Reyes, then 10. If not, 9, 8, 7, so on and so forth. Okay. Also, please don't throw away the paper that you used for your quiz and your if I do activity a while ago. Yeah, kindly attach it when you submit your modules to Ma'am Maisel or Ma'am Kalamba, okay? Please don't throw it. Please don't throw those papers away. I will still be collecting those, especially for those of you who weren't able to attend our class this morning. At least if my record here gets lost, you can also uh, have a backup copy of it. Okay, please send your scores here. I'll be recording them. Okay. Okay, we have Mamokod, Garcia, Wong, Saniel, Montes, Cordero, Antepuesto, Bantilan, Burdin, and Bacaltos. Are there those of you who weren't able to? Okay, Miss Anyasco. Anyasco, okay. Okay. Again, these are the students who were able to submit their scores. Mamokod, Garcia, Wong, Saniel, Montes, Cordero, Antipuesto, Bantilan, Berdin, Bacaltos, Anyasco, who weren't able to send in their scores yet. Okay, Miss Cadiz. 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So there are two of you, I think, who were in, one rather, one, weren't able to pass their scores. Miss Decades were able to
Sir,
answer the.
excuse me, sir. Hindi
Okay,
na ko ma-open ang chat, sir.
really?
Yes, sir.
La- Don't worry. The how much was your score? Is
8, sir.
8? Okay, I'll
8.
just
Thank you, sir.
welcome. Okay, so that is all for our test for today. And you have an assignment. You can find this also in your module. Okay, the directions are inside the box. Draw an artwork that shows the connection of the language of research, campaigns, and advocacy in the way that you visualize it. Be guided by the rubric provided as to how your work will be rated. Now, if you're looking for the rubric, it's here. So you'll be assessed according to content, presentation, artwork, and mechanics. So content is basically about the information that you put in. Presentation is how neat or clean your output is. Your artwork refers to the creativity and appropriateness of your design, and it should be logical as well. That's included under artwork. And mechanics is regarding to the technical aspects of your output, such as spelling, grammar, punctuation, and the likes. Okay, you will be rated either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. Okay, you can, sorry for that. It's up to you if you want to make a hard copy like you will draw on a piece of paper, or you can have a, what you call it, an output done on Canva or PowerPoint, if a PowerPoint, Photoshop if you want. I'll give you the freedom to choose what how you will make this output. If you're comfortable with computer software that like Adobe Photoshop or Canva, it's up to you. That's fine with me. If you want to hand draw your output, that's also fine with me. The assignment will be submitted on or before Saturday. I'll be giving you enough time to make and design your output, okay? Is that fine with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
are the directions or my instructions too strict for you or tama-tama lang?
Tama lang, sir.
Okay lang, sir.
Okay. Okay, on Saturday, on or before Saturday, send a picture of your output so that I can start grading you, okay? And just to make sure that your output gets recorded and is really graded, please also attach a hard copy of your output when you submit your modules to Ma'am Kalamba. Okay? So if by chance I wasn't able to check your output through the pictures, at least I still receive your output. Ma'am Kalamba and I will receive your output in hard copy form. Some people may ask, sir, what about us na who will be using Canva or PowerPoint? If you can print out the picture of your output, or you can print out your output, that would be fine already. Okay, is everything clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you have any other questions regarding our lesson for today or our session for today? Do you have any questions or clarifications?
None so far, sir.
Okay, what about the others? Do you have questions or clarifications?
None, sir.
None. Okay, going once, going twice. Wala na, Jim. Will no one else ask any questions?
Answer.
Okay, because if not, I will stop presenting my slides. And before we finally end our class, may I ask everyone to turn on their cameras for the attendance also, and photo op. Ma'am Sam Banyaga, may I ask for your divine help? Divine help.
Yes. Okay, everyone, please turn on your camera so that we can see your faces. Thank you. Okay, I will wait for others. All right. Okay, great. Mhm. Okay, so I will take a picture now. Put on your best smiles. One, two, three. Okay, for a moment. All right. Okay, it's finally.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Ma'am Kalamba, would you like to input something before we finally leave this session, ma'am? Myself?
Hahaha. Halata kasi mo. Hello, sorry, sir.
Hi, okay. I'm sorry, ma'am. Okay, they're having a meeting. Okay, so I think that would be all for today. Thank you very much, students, for your attendance, and I'll be seeing you next week again. Okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you. You may start leaving the session. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Bye.
sir.
sir.
See you soon,
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
attendance. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Ma.
Sorry, Lay. Kindly send me
Sure,
the
ma'am.
recorded video ha.
Sure, ma'am. Via Gmail
Message.
lang, ma'am.
Do you have my email?
Not yet, ma'am. May I
Kindly
ask,
send it
please?
in my email. I will just send here my email ha.
Okay, ma'am. Masam, thank you, kaayo. Nag-screenshot ka?
Welcome. Yes, a lot.
Yay.
Dapat 50
Congrats,
plus, ha?
Lay.
Thank
Medyo
you,
na ka
ma'am.
napaminawan, Lay. Na busy jud me. So I will
Okay
just
na, ma'am. Okay.
evaluate you through the recorded video, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Okay lang, ma'am. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
kaayo. Bye-bye,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye,
Thank you,
Sam.
ma'am. Yeah. Let's see
Recording
where.
lay.
Yeah. Send nanti ka, ha? If we want.
Yes. Stop sa.
001 at .ed.ph. Okay. Um, Stop recording. Any